With thousands of games out there, it can be hard to figure out what to play. Some of you even have hundreds of games and still don't want to play any of them. Well, I've got you covered. Put your wallet away because all of these games are entirely free to play. They're on Steam and they're all different, so there's something for everyone. Oh, and this is not another one of those lists with only FPS and shooter games. So, with that, let's begin. Number 10, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt. For those waiting for the long-awaited sequel to Bloodlines 2, you can happily play the Battle Royale mode set in Prague, pitting you in the scene of a vampiric faction war where you use supernatural powers and weaponry to hunt down rivals during the nighttime. This Battle Royale game is unique for sure, and it's all about outwitting and hunting down enemies, gearing up and feeding on blood to grow in power whilst doing gravity-defying leaps and using weapons. And if you thought this was all about superpowers, well, the gunplay in this game is actually surprisingly good, and the selection of weapons which you can choose to utilize is actually pretty varied. Number 9, Fishing Planet. A fishing game? Okay, hear me out. So I featured Russian fishing on one of the last ones of these videos, and it was surprisingly very good. Fishing Planet is similar. It's a highly realistic first-person perspective online fishing simulator game that's fun, not just for anglers and people actually interested in fishing, but casual players too if you actually try it out. Basically, you compete to catch countless types of different fish, and you can join competitive events across some awesome different locations and points of interest. There's over 170 plus species of fish. These fish have unique AI driven behavior which is based on seasons, the climate, the time of day, and the properties of the water. There's 25 scenic waterways with photorealistic graphics, float spinning and bottom fishing methods, thousands of tackle and lures, dynamic weather and daylight time of day cycles, water graphics which are based on the environment, and rideable kayaks and motorboats for some real immersion and for relaxing gameplay. This is just one of those really relaxing games which you wouldn't expect to actually have fun on. Number 8, Muck. What started out as a small YouTube project, perhaps originally as a joke or some kind of experiment, Muck has actually really become something of its own. It's a survival roguelike experience where basically, just like other survival games, you collect resources and find items, and you build up a base to attempt to survive for as long as possible. I think a lot of my Minecraft and survival game viewers on this channel will enjoy this game, so perhaps I'll do a video or a series on it. As an island castaway, you survive solo or in a group by using craftable weapons and armor to protect against enemies which are lurking in the shadows at nighttime. It's a rush to craft protective and useful items during the day to then survive the night. Along with crafting and building, PvP and co-op gameplay, unique power-ups and mechanics, there's some really fun and cool bosses in this game like a stone golem and a dragon, each with different abilities that are amazingly tough. Also, there's a lot of new achievements which are added in one of the recent updates for achievement hunters. Number 7, SCP Secret Laboratory. This is based on the SCP fandom. You're thrown in deep within the SCP Foundation, in which a containment breach is taking place where many of the SCP anomalies have bypassed the security efforts and have escaped their chambers to wreak chaos. As site personnel, more specifically a recontainment agent, you have to fight back and retake control or escape the facility as a last-ditched effort. But if you're one of the anomalous entities, it's time to cause some mayhem. This multiplayer horror game features multiple roles: D-class personnel, aka lab rats, Foundation scientists, who are the researchers, nine-tailed fox units, the emergency response, Foundation security, who attempt to restore order, Chaos Insurgency, which is a strong military power who wish to purge everything as a cleanup operation, and SCP entities, which are the hostile sentient being monsters who are here to cause the chaos. Number 6, the Cycle Frontier. So if you like battle royale and survival style games, perhaps the Cycle Frontier may appeal to you. The game is what's known as a PvPvE extraction shooter, which features high suspense and the feeling of danger, with the goal of resource prospecting and finding valuables on an alien world which is overcome by a deadly storm, where monsters and other prospectors are your opposition. After your mission, you need to reach the evac ship to get away with your collected loot and secure it, and then upgrade your gear and buy new equipment to tackle the further contracts which you take from the base. The shooting system is fairly good in this game, and there are a few different weapons weapon options, not to mention the good graphics and how smooth it actually runs. This game is all about a high risk to high reward ratio, and it's really great for those that love space exploration games and shooters. Number 5, MetälBörn. Now, this game reminds me of Brutal Legend in the sense that it has a heavy metal theme to it, but the gameplay is entirely different. Techno has taken over the neighborhood, so it's time to embody the god of metal himself and battle it out. This first-person shooter game puts you in the shoes of the last follower of the heavy metal genre, chosen by its god to reconquer the points of power in the neighborhood by using blessed weaponry. You have to reconquer parts of the city using acrobatic movements in a parkour style, in intense opposition toward electronic music and its growing influence. This game plays like an old school Quake shooter, but with some really awesome movement mechanics. There's wall running, jumping and dashing, and it just feels really smooth and satisfying to play this one. Number 4, Video Horror Society. So this one is good versus evil, a fight for your life in a 4v1 asymmetrical style as a tribute to the 1980s era of films and the theme of horror as a whole. You're thrown in a small town as teenagers who are fighting off evil monsters which have been brought to life within an 80s video store. These creatures have escaped and transformed into reality. Whether you're the werewolf or dollmaster, there are a few different monsters that play completely different to one another. The survivors have to burn, shock, curse and purify to extinguish the evil that lurks, using special powers like flames or ray guns, RC flyers or swords, slingshots and crosses to eradicate monsters and use them to their advantage. The levels in this game are very cinematic. They're inspired by fantasy movies, and each character plays with a unique skill tree of perks, and they have custom cosmetics. If you like games like Dead by Daylight in particular, you should enjoy this one because it plays in a very similar way. Number 3, Apex Legends. Now, Apex is my favorite battle royale game, and it just dropped its latest new season, so that means there's a lot of new content, new skins, the new battle pass, and more to experience if you're either coming back or if you're entirely new. Apex is basically an FPS game with the same gameplay as Titanfall 2, and it features many of its weapons and some of its mechanics, but in a battle royale fashion which is slightly stripped down, except you play it as a list of unique legend characters that have different passive, active, and ultimate abilities which change the tide of the fights. This game has duos, trios, and squad modes with casual, ranked, and arena casual and ranked game types. The gunplay in Apex is solid, and it's a great game to play with friends. Sure, it's like any game where certain things could use a little balancing and there are a few bad weapons, but for the most part, it's really exciting and super fast paced. Number 2, Heal and Hurt. This game basically puts you in the shoes of either an angel or a skeleton in a fast paced multiplayer arena shooter with intense gunfights. Basically, you heal or you hurt your enemies. It really depends. This game brings back that old school arena shooter style from Quake-like games, and you pay attention to which type of damage you're doing versus enemies. Angels can fly in the sky and utilize the high ground, with skeletons being able to stay underwater and pass through special bone walls. As you die, you switch sides. There's 6 different guns and weapons to use, and there's mechanics like rocket jumping and teleportation, so this one plays a little crazy. Number 1, MultiVersus. Warner Brothers Games brings their universe back to the forefront with this platform fighter game that squads you up with your friends to battle out with some of the best characters from the franchise. Yes, that includes Shaggy. So if you want to use the pure power of Shaggy from those memes, or play as characters like Batman, Harley Quinn, Tom and Jerry, Wonder Woman, or Superman, each with their own dynamic abilities, you can play it out in cool maps like the Batcave across multi-platform gameplay. This plays just like Brawlhalla, except it's better in my opinion. There's 2v2 co-op combat, 1v1, and 4 players free-for-all modes. You can also play in training to first learn the game before dropping into the ranked competitive mode. This shows you how to play the game and how to understand the mechanics, because the keybinds are a little bit weird. And also it gives you Wonder Woman as a free character if you choose to finish the training mode. Each character has customization in terms of how they play and their perk loadouts and skins. And that concludes this list of the top 10 free-to-play PC games on Steam right now in 2022 and beyond. Let me know in the comments below which of these 10 games which you like the most and why, and also tell me any more free-to-play games which I forgot to cover which you've been enjoying recently. Like the video and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.